What is up, everyone? So today I have the Ninja 3048 cubic inch aluminum tank. We're going to go over its features, its price point, and whether or not you should purchase it. So let's get into this review and see what it's all about. Okay, so before you purchase a tank, the first thing you want to understand is what your purpose is, how many shots you're going to need, okay? So rule of thumb, a 3000 PSI tank is going to get you around 10 shots per cubic inch. So you would times 10 times the cubic inch, which this would be 48. So 10 times 48. If this was a 4500 PSI tank, you would times 48 times 15. So it's 15 shots per cubic inch for the 4500 tanks average. So once you decide on how many shots you need for your game, you need to decide whether or not you want the carbon fiber or the aluminum tank, okay? So some of the things to know about carbon fiber, I believe they have a max shelf life of 15 years, and every 5 years you got to rehydro test, okay? The aluminum tanks, I believe, are lifetime, and every 5 years you got to rehydro test, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the rule of thumb, okay? When you buy a carbon fiber tank, yeah, it's lighter than the aluminum tank, but you got to also remember the carbon fiber tanks are not full carbon fiber. They have an aluminum vessel in between the carbon fiber. So you have a thin sheet of aluminum to keep the air contained, and then carbon fiber wrapped around that aluminum, so that way it could keep that aluminum from expanding and blowing apart, okay? Whereas this is just solid aluminum, okay, with a, or not solid, it's a vessel, so it does have air in it, but it's a lot thicker piece of aluminum all the way around it, and it does not require the carbon fiber to keep it together. But that being said, you have a maximum of 3000 PSI that the aluminum tanks could hold, and the carbon fibers could go up to 4500, okay? So that's the benefits of the carbon fiber, and they're also lighter because you're running thinner aluminum, a lighter shell around it, and you get a lighter tank that way, okay? Keep in mind that the carbon fiber tanks also tend to crack, so there's resin around it that gives you that nice gloss finish and holds the fibers together, and a lot of those will show signs of cracking. Even if you didn't drop it or what have you, it will start cracking on its own. So keep that in mind. It's not you, it's the actual way it's made, but that could be refurbished and cleaned back up. They probably sand it all down and then reapply a gel coat back over it to, you know, make sure all the cracks are gone, but then you're going to have to rehydro test it after that. Okay, so once you determine carbon fiber or aluminum, another thing you want to consider is the regulator. All these tanks mostly have regulators that come with them, so I'll get into the reason why I purchased this Ninja one, this Ninja setup. So the regulators come in at, you know, 350 or 400 PSI all the way up to 850 PSI. Okay, so you want to make sure it's paired to your gun. So some of the paintball guns only allow you to shoot around that 400 PSI range, real low pressure. If you run anything higher than that, it will damage your gun. But like your Tipmans and stuff, they run the 800 to 850 PSI to make everything cycle properly, okay? So once you figured out what regulator you need, now we need to talk about why I got the Ninja tank, okay? So I got the Ninja tank because it came with the Ninja regulator, the V2 series, and everything in this price point around that $50 range, $50 to $60 range, they have a single O-ring, and they have a cheap valve system, okay? Ninja is pretty good. It doesn't have the adjustable bonnet where it has the ring like the V2, but you do have set screws here that you can loosen up to make those adjustments. To take this off and all that stuff, replace it, you can do that by loosening up these two Allens. But the nice thing about the V2 Pro is you could adjust it with the collar and all that stuff But in your budget price range for these tanks, they're not going to come with all those spectacular features, okay? But the nice thing that the Ninja does come with is it does come with the double O-ring. So one thing I noticed is when taking off my tank from my paintball gun, the aluminum actually will cut these O-rings and break them. So the nice thing about having two is it helps with alignment, but it also helps if one breaks, you still have another one and you won't leak air, okay? So that's the reason why I like this one for the same price. And Ninja's a lot better quality than most of your other regulators that your budget air tanks come with. So one thing that Ninja has, even on their pro ones, that a lot of tanks avoided is these burst discs. So these things stick out quite a bit, okay? A lot of the other brands will do the flat ones, the flush fit ones. So that's a benefit to getting some of those other brands. And it mitigates how much it digs into your wrist. But a tank this size, if you're shouldering it, I mean, your wrist probably won't get that close to it because this thing's just so big. But for like your 13 cubic inch or your 9 cubic inch tanks, they're a lot skinnier. They're like 2 inches. So this may play a factor in your purchase. A benefit to having an aluminum tank is you could buy multiple of these, you know? So if you're playing a game in the woods, you could buy a few of these, have them filled up, ready to go for the same price as one carbon fiber tank. If you're playing long scenario games, you know, with your buddies out in the woods. So that's good to have, the aluminum, but also paintability. Carbon fiber tank, you're not gonna paint it, okay? Unless you sand it all the way down to the carbon fiber, paint it, and then gel coat it again. But every time you gel coat or sand any of that stuff off, you're gonna have to get it rehydro tested. Whereas this, I could sand this down and paint it because all the markings are stamped directly into the tank itself, okay? So I can make this any color I want theoretically. Okay, so for the size, we'll measure that out right now. But this is gonna go in a mini map, so on a backpack or a plate carrier mini map. So the heaviness that this will have, you know, in gameplay won't be a factor for me because I'm not shouldering it. It's going to be on my back. So the weight doesn't really bother me too much, but this does weigh a substantial amount, no doubt about it. It's not a light thing. Okay, so let's weigh this out first. All right. I'll zero this out real quick. Okay, so the weight of this is 3 pounds, 0.3 ounces, okay? That's pretty damn heavy. This does not have air in it currently, so yeah, 3 pounds, 0.3 ounces. That's really heavy to be holding around in your arm all day, okay? So once we got that out of the way, let's take some measurements, okay? So that way you could kind of get a feel of how large this thing is. Okay, so for a quick measurement set, you're looking at 3.5 in diameter, okay? And then you're looking at about 8.25. About 8.25 in length from the lip here to the base. And for the overall, you're looking at about 10 5/8 in full length, okay? So yeah, about 10 5/8 to the full length of this. That'll kind of get you in the ballpark. So that's going to complete today's video. If this video was helpful for you, give it a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. If you want to see content like this and other content I'll be posting in the near future, consider subscribing. Until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching.